So I whipped up this little power shoulder shrug number a couple of weeks ago to wear to DIY Burlesque Koala, wore it out, and everyone wanted to steal my sleeves. Which is hysterical because I stole these sleeves. You know when you have like just an item of clothing where you're like, this item is perfect. I need it in every single color and fabric choice, but it just doesn't exist. I'm a huge purveyor of that. And sometimes you've just got to do what you got to do, and you've got to reverse engineer an already existing item of clothing that you own. Now, I've had this dress for a number of years now. I absolutely fell in love with the shape of the sleeves. The rest of the dress I can really snooze on, but it got me thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if I could just have the sleeves on their own? Well, I'm gonna. Stealing patterns or aggressively referencing them is something I've been doing for decades now. And whilst you can't do it on every single garment, you'll often find that on simple garments you can. So today I'm going to show you how I stole these sleeves, and then you're going to steal it from me. So really, you are still stealing my sleeves. I just organized the crime.
Everybody chase me, catch me if you can.
And once again, before we go any further, I am not the be-all and end-all of sewing. In fact, I'm pretty shit, but this is how I do it, and I hope it inspires your own little criminal sewing journey. For these sleeves, you're going to need a marker, pattern paper, non-stretch cotton fabric, scissors, and your sewing machine. And yes, once again, you can hand sew this shit, and fuck anyone that tells you otherwise. Not everyone has access to or knows how to use a machine, and I don't think creativity should be stifled just because you're a Luddite. Full disclosure here, I'm really poor at the moment because my poor little Texie had some very expensive vet bills recently, so I can't even afford fabric right now. Instead, I'm going to be cutting up this dress I'll never wear again to make the sleeves out of. You, on the other hand, are going to have a fresh, new, crispy baker's meter of fabric. I call it a baker's meter because you know when you go and you get fabric cut and you say a meter, but the length of the roll is longer than a meter, it's usually 1.5. That's like a baker's meter, but like a crafter's meter. So I'm going to grab the dress and lay it out over pattern paper. You can use anything for this. I'm using baking paper today because I've run out of all human supplies. Now what I'm going to be doing is tracing around the actual garment itself. What you're going to be doing is printing out the shoulder pattern from my website, link in bio. I've put extra explanations on how to increase the size of these because I know at this point you're thinking,
Lady Hart, not everyone is a fun-sized gremlin.
Yeah, I'm aware. You don't think I've got your back? So go grab something from your wardrobe with long-fitted, non-stretch sleeves. Once you've got the template, you're going to lay it over the top of your sleeve, which is on top of your pattern paper, and trace around the entire thing. Boom! Pattern in your size. But here's how I'm actually stealing this pattern, and you can do this with a lot of garments. Obviously not all of them, but pretty simple ones you generally can. See how I'm drawing around the shape, leaving about 2 centimeters out from it? That's for our hem allowance. Now if you're confident with sewing, you can come in a lot closer if you want, but if you're feeling luxurious, read lazy, like me, just fold the hem over more and give yourself plenty of hem space. Now see how I've left lots of fabric here on the inside part of the sleeve for the armhole? It's because I'm giving myself plenty of armhole space. You want to overestimate this area. If you underestimate, you'll sew yourself into a straitjacket, and whilst that's awesome, it's not what we're going for today. So now we're going to cut out our pattern. You could make mirrored patterns and pin them both at the same time, but as I said before, I'm lazy, so I'm just flipping one pattern and calling it a day. Now we're going to pull out our fabric and fold it in half, good sides together. Pin on your sleeve pattern and cut out the entire thing. Mirror for the other sleeve and repeat the process. Keep the rest of your fabric handy for the back of the project later. Now we've got our 2 sleeves, and if you have a look at the original dress, the sleeves have a few pleats to help it plume on the shoulder dramatically. Now I actually fucked this up. When I originally did this, I did the pleats on the outside of the sleeve instead of on the inside of the seam. This fuck up was one of those rare, beautiful moments where it actually worked out, because pleating on the wrong side meant it actually plumed more. So it was a happy little accident. So putting these side by side, I'm just copying where the pleats lay on my pattern by folding and pinning them into place on both sides, except that I'm doing it on the outside rather than the inside. Now remember, you want to keep these bits separate. You do not want to sew them together. So do them one at a time, flip it over, do the other side, and keep them unpinned. After that, we're going to pin around the entire outer edge of the sleeve as well as the inner, but we will be leaving that part where the arm connects to the shoulder open, so do not pin that closed. And definitely don't sew them shut, which we're almost ready to do. Now, what we're going to do is start with the sleeve hems. Fold these over and pin them, then sew them up in a straight line. Now, the reason we're doing this first is because now you don't have to worry about a sleeve foot, whatever that is. You can just simply sew up the 2 sides and not have to worry about sewing in a circle, because sewing in circles sucks. Once you've done with the sleeve hems, you're going to sew up all around the outside and the inside sleeve, and make sure you're stopping at these 2 points. Now, I'm sewing on the couch so I can watch my true crime videos at the same time, but it's really dark in here, so the sexy B-roll is not as sexy as usual. Once you've sewn both sleeves up, trim off any excess fabric around the hems, making them nice and neat. Okay, moment of truth. Let's turn these babies inside out and give them a fluff up. Ooh, looking good. Now let's take care of these armholes. What we're going to do is try on one of the sleeves, making sure there's enough room to move around, but they should be a snug fit around your shoulder and arm. If they feel too tight, unpick some stitches in the too tight area until it fits. If they feel perfect on the first try, you might want to check your surroundings, because you have died, my friend, and this is the afterlife. Nothing ever fits on the first go. Now push the excess fabric at the front inside the sleeve, creating a slightly rounded hem as you go. Then carefully take off the whole sleeve and pin that part you just pushed in to create a hem. Now you have a template to do exactly the same on the back of the sleeve, matching the front. Once you've pinned all this, cut off the excess fabric on the inside and sew up only the front of the sleeve to hem it. Leave the back just pinned for now. And you're left with something that looks like this. Repeat for the other sleeve. If you just want detachable sleeves though, you're pretty much done.
Great job, Martin.
All you would have to do is sew up that back seam of the sleeve and boom, detachable sleeves. But if you want to turn this into a shrug like I did, we've just got one more thing to take care of. The last thing left to do is the back. Grab your fitted item from earlier. That's your template. You can do the back in the same fabric as you're using on the sleeves, but if you wanted to make it a bit easier on yourself, you can also use stretch fabric for the back. So flip your garment face down and add some more of your pattern paper over the top. We're going to trace roughly around the shape of the back. And it doesn't matter if you make it too long at this point, because we'll be cutting it down and hemming it later. We'll also be rounding off sort of where the sleeves go. So if you're finding that area is a little bit straight right now, don't panic. What we're just doing is roughly getting the back shape. Now here's a nifty little trick. Roughly trace to the halfway point, checking underneath at the lines as you go. Then fold your pattern paper in half and cut it out. Then it's perfectly symmetrical. And remember, I don't have that fabric money right now, so I'm going to use the back of this dress that I've destroyed, but it's basically the same premise as what I did with the pattern paper. We end up with the same kind of shape. But you'll be pinning your back pattern to your fabric and cutting it out. Next, we're going to attach the sleeves to the back. Now remember how we've got the back of the armholes still pinned? That's because we're now going to unpin them, then repin them to the back around the armhole from the inside. You'll be working on a bit of a curve here, and it feels like it's going to be tricky, but it's actually quite easily just a little bit fiddly. Whilst you're here, you're also going to fold over and do the top hem. Then sew up where you've pinned. Finally, the last thing to do is the bottom hem, which you want to be in line with the bottom of the sleeves. So cut off the excess, fold and pin up to this point, and then sew the final seam. Try everything on once again and make sure everything is fitting well. Now, if you've tried this on, you might find you've got a bit of gaping across the top of the back. So to get this fitting better, I'm going to do a bit of a crime here and just get rid of all that excess fabric by creating a V-back. The reason this is dangerous is because I'm just eyeballing this. I'm not proper measuring. I'm then cutting a slit directly down the middle of the back and then creating a new hem that gets rid of all that upper back excess fabric. You can also do a curved here if you want to. Now, if you find the adjustment you're having trouble with is taking it in, all I would do in this point is fold the shrug in half, good sides together, and then just create a new seam from that center seam and cut off the excess. Okay, she's ready. Oh my God, hell yes, it looks so good in the stripe. These sleeves will plume on their own and they have some movement so you can fluff them up. But if you want extra shoulder power, authority power, my super duper tip is spray starch. Spray starch is like fashion Viagra. This will give you shoulders so sharp you will need a license to carry them. Alrighty, let's see how she handles. Now, if anyone asks, you didn't get this pattern from me. I was never here. Now go forth, steal patterns, make art, and commit victimless fashion crimes. I believe in you. Thank you for joining me once again. I have been Lady Hart, and you have been an accomplice. I'll see you real soon.
Lady Hart, thank you. We love you, Lady Hart. Yes.
You're all doomed. Doomed. Doomed.